When you're traveling, you're constantly worrying about a lot of things. Is my flight going to leave on time? Are my bags going to get to where I'm heading? And then you have to worry about getting shuffled off to the rental company when you finally get to your destination. You wait in line for 45 minutes, and then you finally get to the front of the line. They're telling you to sign here, initial this. And then one of the questions they ask you is, do you want the collision damage waiver on your vehicle? I don't know, do I? We get calls from insureds quite frequently, whether in the front of the checkout line or whether they're preparing to leave on vacation. They always wonder, does my auto policy cover me when I'm renting a vehicle? And it's always best to check with your agent on this. Yes, generally when you rent a vehicle and you're using it for personal use, your personal auto policy will cover the rental vehicle. But if you're traveling for work or traveling with a buddy who may also be driving the vehicle, you may not have coverage then. Also, if you're renting an expensive vehicle, you may have a gap in coverage. Or if you have a commercial auto policy as your primary auto policy back home, you may not have coverage for your vehicles that you're renting. As I mentioned, traveling for family, vacation, or a getaway, you're most likely going to have coverage from your personal auto policy. Your comp and collision deductibles will be the same as what you had before. If you didn't have comp and collision, you won't have comp and collision on your rental policy, which would make the collision damage waiver a great choice. Your liability limits are going to be the same as what you had back home. You may want to consider even getting the supplemental liability insurance from the rental company. When you're in an area that you're not as familiar with, you're probably more susceptible to causing an accident. The personal effects coverage from the rental company is another great option to consider. Yes, you may have coverage from your renter policy or your homeowner's policy, but you're going to be looking at a large deductible, potentially $1,000 or more. If you already have coverage from your personal auto policy, why would you ever consider purchasing additional coverage from a rental company? And there's a couple reasons why you might want to consider that. Number one, it may be cheaper to pay the insurance company $40 a day approximately for coverage as opposed to paying a $1,000 deductible. Also, by purchasing from the rental company, you avoid having to file a claim against your auto policy. This will help you avoid a claim surcharge when it's time to shop your insurance again or when it comes back up for renewal. Also, you can add coverages that you may not have. So as I mentioned earlier, if you don't have comp and collision, you definitely want to consider purchasing that coverage. If you have state minimum liability limits, this would be a good time to bump them up when you're in an area that you may not be as familiar with. One coverage that your personal auto policy will not cover is loss of use. Loss of use is when you damage a vehicle and the rental company cannot rent that vehicle out for an extended period of time. So if you damage a vehicle during peak season, you may be responsible for lost income to the rental company. Also, your personal auto policy is going to pay out an actual cash value amount in the event that you total a rental vehicle. The rental company is going to want a value they have assigned to that vehicle. There may be a difference between the actual cash value and the amount that the insurance company wants for that vehicle. Next time you go on vacation, definitely think about what you want to do and what fits your individual needs. If you think you might want to talk to an independent agent about how you can best cover yourself when you're on vacation, give Clark Carroll Insurance Agency a call. 815-244-1570.